Okay, welcome to Station Road Permaculture Garden. This is a 80 foot by 40 foot rectangle behind an ex-local authority semi. It's been designed using permaculture principles, so there's a lot of food and edible production going on. So we'll go on a little tour around the garden. So it's split largely into three sections. There's a lawn, a small lawn area here at the top, which then leads to the middle section, which is the vegetable garden. So it's a raised bed system. The soil here is very heavy clay, so I would never entertain digging it. So the raised bed system works extremely well for us. We've got broad beans here underneath some fleece, and various potatoes coming up under straw. I've got a small apple tree in the middle of the garden. There are two greenhouses, the first of which sits at the back of the vegetable plot. We've got more potatoes here growing through straw. We've got carrots here underneath fleece. Then we've got strawberries, which we all grow in pots because if you grow them in the ground here, everything else seems to eat them. There is a cloche there made of a recycled shower cubicle. There's a lot of upcycling and use of second-hand materials in the garden. So we've got more potatoes here, early salad potatoes in a raised bed, and that brings us to the first greenhouse. So in here we've got some fairly advanced tomatoes with lettuces growing in between. We also have my cactus collection in here, which lives in the house during the winter, comes out for the summer into the greenhouse. And we've got the grapevine coming up over the roof, which is a dessert grape, which has got some pretty spectacular flowers this year, so hoping for a good crop. So that's the first of the greenhouses, and making our way back through the vegetable garden. The blossom at the moment is absolutely spectacular, which is why we decided to make this film, perhaps a bit earlier than we might otherwise have done, but it has been a superb year for blossom. There are 30 varieties of apple in the garden, lots of trained forms. So we've got cordons here growing against a fence. We use a lot of wood chip in the garden for paths and mulches, so we're enriching the on top of the heavy clay. So, and then the third section of the garden is the sort of orchard come meadow area. So this is where we've got some larger fruit trees, and it's underplanted with a range of wildflowers. The daffodils have gone over now, but they were superb a few weeks ago. And then we've got the hens here in their daytime accommodation. They do come out into the orchard area when we're here. And then, as I say, the garden is only 80 foot long, but coming down to the bottom here, one of the reasons that we fell in love with the house when we first saw it was the views. That's the Brown Clee in the far distance, the highest point in the West Midlands, and there are some lovely views of the rolling Shropshire countryside from the bottom of the garden. So we've got the wormery, storage sheds, compost bins, and a bench to sit and look at that view. So the pear blossom's gone over a bit now, but the apple blossom is just superb at the moment. So we're coming back past the second greenhouse, which we will go round and have a look at. So past the raspberries, we've got more fruit trees, and then at the back of this one there's a small wildlife pond where we've got frogs and newts, lots of habitat around it, places for the wildlife to hide, rock piles, log piles, and then currant bushes at the back, more raspberries against the fence, potatoes in containers. So we're dropping down here to the second greenhouse. So this is the sort of engine room of the garden. We've got Some pretty advanced tomatoes in here as well, more salad crops, and we've got all the usual suspects like courgettes and pumpkins and things which will go out later in the year when the nights are a bit warmer. Salad leaves there that we're eating at the moment. And this greenhouse sits on top of an old redundant septic tank which happened to be in the garden, and on top of that we mounted one of these traditional pumps, so we siphon the water off of all the roofs of the outbuildings and the extension back down into that redundant septic tank, and then using the pump we can collect hundreds of litres of rainwater in the course of a winter, and hopefully never have to use tap water in the garden. So that being right outside the greenhouse door is ideal. We've got one of those little tomato houses here that we use as a propagation unit for starting all sorts of seedlings. So heading back up the garden, the Hellebores have been spectacular this year. It's going over a bit now. So we'll then go round past these superb dark tulips, which again has been beautiful this year, absolutely superb. And we've got more raised beds over here. So this one has got parsnips in it, so they were all started pre-germinated and then grown in toilet rolls and planted out and getting away quite well. We've got lots of greens under this one. We have to net a lot of things in the garden because birds can be a bit of a problem, and obviously the butterflies on the greens. So we've got a homemade strawberry terrace here, and various trees and seedlings in pots. Past the rhubarb, we've got gooseberry trained up over an arch here, along with yet more fruit trees. And so coming back up the path, lots of things in pots. We've got various herbs, lavenders, very good for pollinators, the bumblebees in particular. Absolutely love the lavenders. We've got some young pear trees there which I'm propagating for a project. And then at the top of the garden we've got the goldfish pond. So we've got a wildlife pond and we've got a goldfish pond. So just having lots of rainwater harvesting off all the roofs again. And there you go, that's Station Road Permaculture Garden at the end of April with the blossom absolutely superb.